Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us with this webinar. We will be talking about automation, finance, and accounting, and how robotic process automation will transform the industry. Next slide, please. Okay, let me first introduce the speakers. We have Hilel Baroud from the pre-sales director for the Middle East from Uipath. Omer Saleem, chief financial officer from Proven Consult, and myself, Abdul-Haiy, director and deputy CEO, Proven Consult. I will be talking to you first about the digital workforce. Digital workforce is asked, let me introduce Proven Consult first. Okay. I will introduce Proven Consult first. The Proven Consult, we started in 2013, and we have our headquarter office in Riyadh, with regional offices in Dubai and offshore office in Bangalore, India. Our technical team is, we have more than 100 technical resources, 40 of them for the AI and robotics, and 30 plus for certified by Uipath. Next slide, please. Okay, we are golden partner for Uipath. Next slide. Okay, the Proven Consult portfolio consists of, first of all, the IT transformation, business process transformation, which is the robotics process automation is part of it, data and analytics transformation, and on top of all of these, we have the artificial intelligence transformation, where we have the smart, what we call the smart solution. Next slide. Okay, this is some of our customers, and let me emphasize here only about the customer that we implement with them robotic RPA project. We have STC, Saudi Telecom Company, NWC, National Water Company. In the third row, we have Al Faisaliya Group, Riyadh, Majid Al Futain from Dubai, Al Fahim Group, Abu Dhabi, and Al Ghanim Group from Kuwait. Also, we have Saku Retail from Saudi Arabia. Okay, next slide. By the way, if you have any questions, please leave it in the question and answer section, and we will do our best to answer all of your questions. Let's now talk about digital workforce. Digital workforce actually is a scalable set of technologies and software tools that support, automate the work that your human employees are doing. The initial wave of the automation already passed, and companies are recognizing that automation can free their teams from manual, repeatable tasks, which means a human can spend more time on tasks that require their brains and projects that bring value to themselves. Digital workforce is capable of growing, and downsizing depends on your business needs. Scalability comes from combination of a flexible automation solution and automation best practice. Next slide. Now the digital workforce is ready and waiting. Are you ready for that one? To answer the questions, we need to answer other 4 questions. First, we need to understand what digital workforce is good for. In short, it makes sense of business processes that use structured and unstructured data, well-defined business rules, and enough human effort to justify the ROI. The primary goal of digital workforce is to improve efficiency, not effectiveness. This accomplished by robots that eliminate errors, work 24/7, and execute tasks faster than human. Quickly, I will just mention the functions of the digital workforce, importing and aggregate data from connected sources like Excel file, databases, ERP system, bank files, and so on. Processing and verifying data by performing data manipulation and calculation, such as matching transaction between different systems, identify fees, adjustment, and certifying balances. Identify and manage exceptions. Transaction will be forwarded to a human worker to manage exceptions, if any. Prepare data for analysts and build report, which means more time is available to interpret the data and run reports more often. Look at the tasks performed, reasons of the decision, and other metrics that auditors may use to verify the complex. Second, we need to understand the potential benefits of digital workforce. Acquiring a digital workforce technology will change the way an enterprise execute business processes. Before launching any new technology that will change the business, we need to understand why. And leaders need to build business cases and communicate effectively with employees about the decision to use digital workforce. And here are some of the reasons. Changing business processes should improve service response and deliverable, reduce cost and transaction time, and improve client satisfaction, improve operation efficiency by speeding up processes and eliminating errors. Digital workers perform 5 to 10 times faster than human workers and never make any input or output errors. Recognize and change processes and increase or decrease the number of human workforce is expensive. Digital workers can accomplish processes much faster and work across business functions, running automation for HR, finance, supply chain, and while operators normally reside within one business unit. Digital worker can handle the work approximately much faster than human, who are then free to focus on higher efforts. Digital workers can improve also the compliance by doing the same tasks over and over again. Third, we will need to understand about the leadership, if they are committed to developing and managing digital workforce. Because digital workforce actually spans the organization, requiring at minimum the business unit, HR, and IT to align and deliver successful digital workforce program. And we have some of the let me mention some of the roles that we needed to implement a digital workforce program. First, a program sponsor who's responsible for the digital workforce program and tracking its performance and achieve the ROI. A steering committee or a CO, Center of Excellence, which should provide oversight and guidance for the project. A project manager who oversee and manage the digital workforce project and initiative. IT operation to help and plan in the software implementation. Business processes subject matter expert who will be responsible for providing details of the business processes to be automated and participating in development and approval of a process definition and automating design document, provisioning test data and test cases, and reviewing test results. Finally, technical team, if it is internal or external. Internal means to have it within the company or to hire any system integrator or from outside. The fourth, the fourth one we need to ask is the technologies we need to use. There are several technologies, but we list here the most important technologies. First of all, the robotic process automation, the RPA. Actually, the RPA is the core for any digital workforce project. As we mentioned before, the RPA will be automate the business processes that use structured data and well-defined business rules. Then we have the cognitive automation, which is used artificial intelligence functions such as machine learning, deep learning, natural language processing, computer vision, and OCR to capture the data. Cognitive automation with the OCR will help us to go beyond the structured data and well-defined business rules to come up with the intelligent process automation, which will take us to the complete digital workforce. Next slide, please. As a conclusion for what I have said before, over the next 5 to 8 years, we will see tremendous growth in adoption of digital workers that can handle repeatable transaction business processes. Automating business processes is not hard with the current available technologies such as RPA. Actually, it is simple. It takes maybe a few weeks to maybe more, but it is comparing with any other IT project will be the time need very short. But if we go to a complete digital workforce, the project will be much, it will take more time than RPA as RPA. The time is now to decide how your company will leverage digital workforce program. I have here a few slides, on one slide I will talk, next slide please. I will talk what a proven concept can provide you during your RPA journey. Excuse me, I'm not going to explain too much because the time is limited. First of all, we can help you to establish the center of excellence that will include a team that are expert in business process management, customer relationship management, and business domain, and they will set the strategic deliverable and the tactical deliverable for the company. Next, we can help you in the business analyst. Business analyst is the most important step in implementing any automated solution. This service help you to identify robotic process and realize what fits your business perfectly. At this stage, you understand how RPA can change the business workflow and skill requirement. Then we can provide you also with the business case discovery. This service includes the assessment of business and its processes. Business analysts will work together with your business team to create a roadmap with the maximum efficiency. They also can choose a better workload and processes that could or should be automated, relying on the current IT environment. Then we'll go to the RPA proof of concept to build together a proof of concept. So the specialist will set the goals for the RPA to prove the value of the value for the business. Running a proof of concept also help understand whether any extra help will be needed after the successful RPA implementation. Then, of course, the RPA implementation, we discuss here all the conditions with your team and implement and adjust the RPA puts according to the specific needs. Finally, RPA support. Although the RPA puts work autonomously, the process requires human interface sometimes, especially if any further improvement are needed. We provide both maintenance, management, and failure recovery. I finish my part, and I would like now I'll give the stage to my colleague Hilel to talk about the hyper automation in finance and accounting. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Anas. Can you confirm that you can hear me, Anas?
I can.
Okay, thank you very much. So it's a pleasure for me to be here. Thanks for joining us, everyone. My name is Hilel Baroud. I'm the pre-sales director at Uipath, responsible for all pre-sales operations in Middle East and Africa. Today, I will talk to you about hyper-automation in finance and accounting. So let's keep this as interactive as possible by adding your questions and answers in the Q&A section. I see a couple of people have raised their hands. Please post your questions in the Q&A section. We will have 15 minutes at the end to go through them. So what is RPA? I'm sure all of you know what RPA is, but today companies are required to do much more with less. So RPA has evolved from rule-based, repetitive, mundane process automation to intelligent automation. Doing that with our robots with what we call skills, robot skills. Combined with machine learning and AI, we are able to provide you a solution or a platform that is doing much more than the traditional RPA as we knew it before. So what are the benefits of RPA? You will be able to increase efficiency. The robots can do tasks much faster than humans and without errors, ensuring compliance. You will be able to embed your compliance step within the processes, making sure that the robot is executing it every single time to be compliant. You will increase security, sensitive data, and you will have different roles for each robot and accesses to different systems, giving the right accesses, as well as our platform runs on your network behind your firewall and based on your own security rules. So it is all within your control. What RPA will also benefit you is it will enable AI technology. As I mentioned, it has evolved, and now you have robots working alongside with chatbots. You have AI integrated in it. You have machine learning, OCR, NLP for understanding and sentiments of texts and those kind of things. The RPA platform will act as a glue connector of all these technologies together, where the robot will be the arms and legs of your automation journey. Customer experience, what you will be able to do is obviously have a consistent execution of the process and apply governance where you can control everything that is happening on your digital workforce within our orchestrator by using analytics, reports, alerts, and dashboards. So what we are seeing today in finance and accounting is that CFOs are realizing that there is a new market reality, a remote workforce due to COVID-19. There is demanding in compliance mandates, dynamic market and competitive cost pressure, alongside with new business demands that are required nowadays for customers' existence or for your company's existence. And you are required to do much more for less, so great performance against budget. So what we are seeing is that 42% of CFOs worry that the finance and accounting operations are responding in a reactive manner rather than a proactive manner. So you're always running behind in your organization. At least 42% of them believe that. So that's why we think that it is the time to automate. What you will be able to do with the automation, I've just used the COVID-19 curve here to visualize it a little bit. You will be able to streamline financial and accounting operations. What that means is you will be able to do digitize operations to position the business for growth, and you will, as you need to optimize your operations to remain relevant and competitive within the market and your competitors. You will minimize exposure to financial risk by continuously evolving and improving regulations, and by making sure that compliance processes are error-free because the robots do not make mistakes. You will be able to become more strategic partner with the business. Now that you have automated your processes, you will be able to free finance and accounting talent to focus on advising and consulting by doing creative and more critical thinking activities that at the time they do not have time to do. But after automation, you will be able to do that. And to provide strategic insights with deep analytics and dynamic reporting. So some statistics here, if you look across the globe, I have added some statistics that you can look at. In Middle East and Africa, we have 49% of the work has potential to be automated in finance and accounting. This is the market evolution. On the right side, you can see the predicted automation potential in orange. You have three big circles on predictable physical work, data processing, and data collection. In these areas, we have a lot of automation potential that you can work with to automate. Now, you might ask, what is hyper-automation? Well, these terms keep coming. Gartner has coined this term recently to describe how RPA and other technologies such as AI, process mining, business process management, and OCR are coming together to enable a more powerful and comprehensive approach of rapid automation, allowing you to do much more automation in less time using these tools that are a package called hyper-automation. So how can RPA help in finance and accounting? What we know is that robots, there are different ways of robots working alongside with humans. You have the traditional way of no robots at all. You have an attended on demand where a human will be triggering a robot to do a part of the process, and then the human continues it by opening his tray on the desktop and asking the robot to do a task. We have the robot working alongside the human in the back end with API integrations into your back end systems, allowing the user to continue doing his job while the robot works as well on the same machine. And there's also the hybrid one where a human and the robot work in attended manner, but then the robot can also send tasks into a queue where an unattended or a back end robot takes that tasks and process it. For example, you need to do an invoice where there is some approval needed. So you do that on your system and you check whatever is needed to do that approval. And once it is approved, you pass it on to a back-end robot, and then it will be executed by the back-end robot. Or you have fully unattended, where robots are working in the back-end task execution back to back with every time one process ends, the robot picks up the next, working in a queue where you have full manageability and queue processing with priorities. So at UiPath, going back to the hyper-automation that Gartner were talking about, at UiPath, we have extended our platform end of last year to integrate these complementary technologies into our end-to-end automation platform. So what we have now is a platform that allows the customer to automate and have tools that help you through the entire automation cycle. You will be able to discover the processes. On the left side, you see discover, where we have tools that we have integrated, such as process mining and task capture. You will be able to build your processes and then manage those processes with the orchestrator, which is our management center, and run these processes with our robots. We have attended and unattended robots. What we also introduced is the testing robots, and be able to engage. We also introduced the Action Center, which allows humans to interact and collaborate with the robots through an Action Center, which can be on a mobile phone or on a desktop, sending a task from a robot to a human to handle exceptions, business rules, to take decisions, and then pass it on back to the robot, where the robot will do the execution based on the decision made by the human. And finally, we have also included Insights, which is an analytics tool similar to Power BI and Tableau and Kibana, where you can visualize everything that is happening with your robots. So this is our new hyper-automation ready platform. So I'm going to go a little bit here into some of these tools that we have introduced. One of them is the Automation Hub. This allows your employees to crowdsource ideas for automation. So you will be receiving, every user in your organization will be able to submit an idea for automation based on some rules that you manage within the platform, allowing you to discover ideas and discover automation within your organization. And the thing that we are very proud of having released recently is called process mining. So what we have added is a scientific database discovery with process mining, where process mining will analyze the actual business data generated from your applications such as Oracle, SAP, Salesforce, to map your processes within your organization and give you a recommended automation that has high impact and high volume. So what you see here is a process, the assumed process. If we go to a subject matter expert and ask about the process, this is probably what he will be telling us about the process. And then you will have partners such as our strategic partner, Proven, that will go and do business analytics and document this process and start developing it. And what process mining is helping here is it is actually showing you the process with all its branches, allowing you to really understand not only the happy scenario, which is on the left side, but you will also see all the exceptions and all the other scenarios that are happening, making you be able to take better decisions on what parts to automate within this process. So you can decide to automate 80% of this process where the highest volumes are going, and then 20% of them that you can let out of the automation, for example. But it visualizes for you the processes much better than the ordinary way. Now, this is how it looks like. This is the tool. This is actually a company that Uipath has acquired and fully integrated within our platform. This is an enterprise solution that already existed in the market, and we have found a way to get it and combine it within our platform to ease the way of how to automate processes and discover processes. Now, on the left side is process mining, which I have just explained to you. On the right side, what we have also developed is task mining. Now, not every step of your process is happening within your back-end core systems, such as Oracle, SAP, and Salesforce. There are always tasks, for example, like here, within one particular step that is happening offline of these systems. For example, if the user needs to go to a browser and do a search, or do something in Excel, apply a formula or something. So these parts of the automation, you cannot see them in the logs of your back-end systems. But what we have developed is task mining, which is a tool allowing the user to record and capture that part of the process and create a PDD document of that part of the process that you can export into PDF or Word. But the beauty of it is that you can export it into an XML file, which you can import into Uipath Developer Studio. So it will already sketch for you the skeleton of that process, including all the selectors and the information, as well as the print screens of these steps. And this is how it works. So now we have hit record. The business user is doing a part of the process, which is not in one of your systems that is connected to process mining. And you can see that it is recording it. At the time that it is done, you will see this. And then all these steps of that task is captured. In each one of them on the right side, you can see the screenshots. And then you can export it into multiple, actually you can also hide stuff. So if the business users want to remove some sensitive data and give you more explanation on the screen, he can do that within the tool before exporting it to have all the details for you already within that document. And this is how it will look like as a PDD document. This is also a tool that we have acquired. It is a company that we acquired recently and integrated within the Uipath platform. And here you can see exporting that same process into Uipath Studio. And here you see that all the steps are already in the system. And something that we are extremely proud of is the document understanding. Within finance and accounting, I think document understanding is a key feature to mention here and discuss. What we have is an end-to-end technology platform that allows you to even read handwritten documents. We have partnered with one of the best handwritten AI technologies out there, with machine learning models that allows the robot to learn from the input that it gets from the human. So it allows the robot to read and understand variety of documents. Think of structured documents such as tax forms, passports, driving licenses, or even semi-structured documents such as invoices and receipts. What this technology can also do is it can read and understand unstructured documents to a certain limit, such as emails and contracts. What document understanding provides you is a unified framework-based approach to deal with the full spectrum of documents. What we introduced recently is 25 plus templates that the robot can automatically understand by looking at it, just a scanned image of it. So receipts, invoices, tax form, loan forms. We have already built this intelligence into the robot, allowing him to understand and extract data from these documents so that you can do your automation easier. Analytics, this is also a tool that we recently released. It is embedded within the orchestrator, so you can visualize, calculate, see the return on investments of your automations and see which robots are doing what, and all that you need to know on dashboards and alerts is within this tool. So within finance and accounting, what we have is process heat maps that will help you get started with your automation. If you go granularly into the details, you can see, for example, in source to pay, the green tabs are the ones that have high potential of automation, followed by the blue ones and the gray ones as low potential. But this is a start for you to know where the automation potentials are within your organization and within your department, as well as our partners from Proven are experts in business analyzation of your processes and letting you know, working alongside with you to identify these processes that can go into automation. So this is what I had. I'm gonna hand over now to Omer Saleem, CFO at Proven Consult, to talk to you about automation in finance and accounting. The floor is yours, Omer.
Thank you, Hilel. Thank you for that overview. And thank you for all the attendees for taking the time to join our webinar. So I'll discuss a little bit more of the actual accounting and finance function. Basically, Hilel, are you able to see the screen? Everything is fine?
Yes, I am, Omer. Yes.
All right, brilliant. So I just want to start off briefly by taking a step back and sort of identifying or highlighting the difference in the F&A structure. So especially when we come to SME clients, the accounting and finance functions are sort of merged. And I think it's very important to differentiate that in your digitization journey, because they both serve a very different function, even though they're completely interlinked and dependent on each other. So, you know, we want to start off in automation in the accounting side of things. Obviously, you want to eliminate, centralize, and standardize your processes. And then RPA comes in at that stage, because accounting captures everything that finance is more or less built on. Which ultimately leads to more insights and timely insights, ultimately leading to better strategy and decision making. So that's one of the things as finance professionals we really need to make aware all the stakeholders and sort of highlight this differentiation, because once that is done, you've got a basic building block of able to attack each business unit and finance function and really tackle the digitization journey. So why does it make sense now? So Hilal touched upon this. The CFO role and the finance role in general is evolved over the last 8 or 10 years pretty significantly. There's more data to process, organizational complexity, compliance. There's so many different factors now that are sort of beefed in to the CFO role. And ultimately, all of this is now driven by, hopefully driven by data and data-based decisions. So that's one of the reasons the CFO role has evolved, the responsibilities have evolved over the last 10 years. The second thing is the automation technology has come a long way. So, you know, I started off in automation using macros and stuff 10, 12 years ago. And as Hilal mentioned, with hyper automation and infusion of a certain level of AI, it's a more dynamic process. It's not simply iterative, and the technology is able to handle a lot more complexity and I wouldn't say decision making, but you know, multi apps, multi elements, which obviously makes it a lot more powerful at this point. It's more cost effective. Every organization has been going through some level of digitalization, I think, in the past couple of years to stay competitive. And I think with the COVID-19 situation just been accelerated. And then on top of that, for those firms located in the Middle East, there's obviously local drivers such as nationalization, accelerated competition, changing labor markets. And all of this is having a direct impact on the F&A function. The talent pool isn't there. There's, you know, there's a lot of competition in terms of staying ahead and making the right decisions. So this is where the finance function sort of benefits from automation. So as we mentioned before, the time to act is now. We want to act and not really react in a couple of years, and it's all iterative, as I'll sort of highlight as we go on. So, you know, why should you automate, or where should you start? I mean, this is, I think, a question that each finance function should be really asking, because, you know, on an ongoing basis, you'll probably run into recurring issues. And those are really where your red flags are. Is that you might have tasks which are time consuming, high volume, complex, manual, et cetera. But really, I mean, RPA is one of the solutions in the toolbox. The solution really needs to reflect on the strategy and the function of the F&A department within the organization. So, you know, what do we need to get out of the F&A function? What will help the management make better decisions? What will help the CFO make better decisions? So those are some of the questions that we can answer and we should be answering. And, you know, every organization has those bottlenecks, has those red flags. The last thing I want to highlight for this slide is essentially you want to focus on the process or orchestration, and rather than task automation. And that's really where the value is generated. You want to have the end goal in sight, and that will help you focus on the process and ultimately drill down. So the top-down approach needs to be there. And that's been the most effective for the F&A function, at least. So what areas of automation do we have? So obviously, as I mentioned, there's a capture, processing, reporting, and accounting in itself is sort of ripe for automation, especially where the bots are in level of their complexity and the tasks they can handle, and the dynamism that's there now in the bots. So, you know, these are just 10 examples, but quite honestly, there's probably about 20, 30 more that can easily be sort of highlighted. We'll walk through a couple of use cases that we've already executed, but I think if you're in the finance stream, if you're a CFO, if you're in the F&A function, a lot of these would make sense. So the ultimate goal is to get the data cleaner, faster, and more coherent in order to process it and then, you know, move on to the next level of decision making. So reconciliations, journal postings, data manipulation, validation. There's like I said, a lot of F&A functions that can be automated easily. Success drivers. Now for F&A function, what does that mean, right? So first is obviously doing a health assessment of your overall department, making sure the value chain is analyzed within the F&A, what are the dependencies, what are other stakeholders within the organization demanding from F&A, what are the policies, processes, other technologies within the organization, controls, operating models and metrics that are being sort of looked at and adhered to. And that'll really help the implementation process be a successful one. Start with the basic, simple functions and processes, and then move into the more complex, which is sort of a no-brainer. And ultimately, it requires a culture change, right? So especially in the Middle East, the F&A function has been operating in a very, I wouldn't say traditional model, but in a very specific mindset. That mindset is the first thing you want to sort of challenge and then move into automation. And the reason for that ultimately is that this change, the automation RPA, it's been around for a better part of a decade, and it's really at its maturity stage, and it's been implemented quite a bit in other developed markets, and in the emerging markets, it's sort of coming about. But with the infusion of AI, neural networks, all of these elements that we've mentioned, the building blocks really need to be there, right? The initial accounting function in that pyramid that I showed you, that really needs to be done and dusted and fine-tuned, and it really needs to be completely automated and digitized in order for organizations to sort of actually go into cognitive AI and really bring these technologies, which in the next 2 to 5 years will be inevitably coming into the F&A function. And I think we were seeing sort of at a very high level all of these in the market, but within the F&A function, it's critical at this stage to get the basic automation done, and RPA is a brilliant tool in that sense of where it is at in terms of cost, in terms of technology, in terms of complexity. So I'll walk you through one of the use cases. So this was for one client. We did 5 processes, daily sales reconciliation in a point of sales type structure. We did then the bank reconciliation, the whole accounting payable cycle, and invoice processing, GRN validation, and payroll validation. So you can see from the slide that they saved about 773,000 reals over a 3-year period. And that's just upfront savings, of course. And as I mentioned before, these are your building blocks. If you have this right, if you have this automated, if the bots are working and your people are sort of transitioned, cross-trained and upgraded to really working side by side with the robots, in some cases completely letting the robots do the work, in other cases adding value where they need to, you can really be ahead of the curve in the next 2 years or 5 years, which is normally an implementation time anyways for a digitization journey. So with this specific project, we saved about 1.5 man-months in the reconciliation process, 3 man-months in the invoice logistics, about 1,200 minutes or 0.11 months in bank reconciliation. Payroll verification, it wasn't in terms of man days, but it was in terms of reductions in errors and the overall integration of the payroll process. And we can, this chart obviously shows you the cost benefit analysis, and within the slides, which we will share, obviously, we have a lot more detail per process that we worked on. So you're welcome to go through that. Unfortunately, due to limited time, I won't be able to go per process. So this is where the bot utilization happened. With all the savings that were in the previous slide, we were still only at about 70% bot utilization. So 30% capacity was still there post utilization. And the benefits were immediate. The fluctuations in volume were better handled. FTE hours were reduced. They were reallocated to more value-adding tasks. A lot of tertiary benefits came about with respect to service providers, vendors who sort of benefited from the end result in the invoicing and logistics process. And I won't walk through the case studies because they're quite detailed, and I'll leave them for you to sort of browse through. Obviously, we'll move over to the Q&A section, and I see a few Q&A sections. So please, Hilel or Anas, I guess we can move on to the Q&A section now.
Yes, thank you, Omer. Thank you very much. So we've received a couple of questions in the Q&A section. Keep them coming so that we can go through them. I will try to answer the vendor questions, and the other ones I leave to Anas or Omer to answer, or I can try to take them if possible. So what
Sure.
I'll start with the first one at the top, Mohammed Abdul-Haiy. What makes Uipath unique against other RPA vendors? Well, these new technologies that we came up in the hyper automation platform, including process mining, task mining, analytics, and the document understanding, are not included in other RPA vendors. That doesn't mean that other RPA vendors are not good. We are all enterprise solutions and leaders in the market. The top three are very known. So what makes us unique and different is these capabilities that I have mentioned that I have mainly focused today on in the hyper automation.
Okay.
So would you
Shall
like to take the other one? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll take the second one.
Yeah.
How do you build a business case for RPA implementation? At what stage do you engage in process discovery? So these are two separate questions. I want to sort of address the first one. How do you build a business case for RPA implementation? So firstly, what you want to do is you'll have your internal metrics, you'll have your internal reviews, your KPIs. You want to see where the bottlenecks are, which processes are recurringly facing issues, whether in some of the elements that we highlighted before. And you want to tie that to metrics, right? You want to see what your FTE hours are, what your costs are associated with some of the bottlenecks, some of the service delivery delays that are happening, some of the errors. And you want to really highlight some of the tasks which are sort of RPA friendly. And then that'll move you into sort of building a case for implementing. And then obviously you'll engage partners from the RPA side who will come in and then do the data mining. And maybe you'll have a certain level of process mining, and that will essentially be translated further into an RPA perspective of what that process will look like when the bot is implemented.
Okay. Mohammed Al-Harthi, where does the CEO sits, Center of Excellence? Is it in IT or in tech finance function? So from a vendor's perspective, we see this in different places. It started in the beginning 2 years ago. It was mainly IT, but now we see more of finance and business taking control of the Center of Excellence to own these automations and drive them according to business needs within their organization. So it is shifting more and more into business and finance departments. I don't know if you want to add something to that, Omer?
No, I mean, that's perfectly fine. I don't think.
Okay, who sits in that Center of Excellence? Basically, you will have a project manager, you will have a developer, at least one. You will have a business analyst. You might have an infrastructure engineer that sets up the infra. You'll have administrators that take care of the systems and manage these robots. So it is a team. If you go to academy.uipath.com, you will be able to attend all the trainings required for you to build a Center of Excellence. But we also have our partners here, Proven Consult, who can take care of that part for you, enabling you to build your own Center of Excellence and take you through that journey until you fully have your own scalable Center of Excellence taking care of all the automations. Who are the permanent members and who are the part-time members in that Center of Excellence? I think I partially covered that. What we see happening is also part-time or hybrid Center of Excellence employees who are currently within your organization doing roles that they're day-to-day. And then besides that, they are also taking care of automation. However, as automation progresses within your organization, it is expected that these employees will put much more time into these center of excellence to make sure that things are running smoothly. So part-time is not something that I would recommend for a big scale implementation.
Okay, I'll take this one, I guess.
Yeah, okay.
So can you give an example for using RPA to identify the initiatives during the strategic planning? So I'm not entirely sure what the question is, but I'm presuming maybe you're looking at some of the areas in an actual form. So we covered that within the use case, but essentially on top of that, some of the tasks which are sort of more probable for automation is under finance manager, finance account manager, financial accounting technician, credit controller. And the roles that are still more cognitive are business and financial project management professionals, financial managers and directors, purchasing managers to a certain extent. And when it comes to the actual functions, we want to be looking at bank reconciliations, sales ordering and invoicing, basically your whole AP life cycle, your AR life cycle, external reporting, internal reporting. Tax planning is a lot area where a lot of RPA can come into play, inventory management, and then financial statement closing is where I've seen the application of RPA as well. So hopefully that does answer part of that question. Hopefully I understood it correctly.
Okay. Nusa Al-Riyami, does this align with SAC 300 and Oracle? Let me start with Oracle. Oracle is a strategic partner, technology partner at UiPath, and we have fully integrated in their cloud solution, as well as have a lot of connectors that allow you to do automation natively within the Oracle platform. And the same applies to SAC 300. I have seen the connectors to this platform. It is a cloud-based solution. And actually any solution out there that has APIs can connect with our robots through REST or SOAP APIs to do automations. Hassan, RPA is, okay. You want to take it?
Sorry. Yeah, I'll start. I'll take a grab at it, and then you can add. So RPA is not agile. Yes, that's been the argument, for some time now. But as Hilel mentioned, the technology has evolved quite a bit, and you also need to look at it from managing your bot workforce. Technically speaking, if you've got actual FTEs, you cannot simply just move them from one function to another. You need some sort of retraining for people as well. So the bot sort of now is at that stage where you've got orchestrator, you've got other ways of, so you need to build the backend. You need to have quote unquote an HR for the bot as well. So you need to have that infrastructure in the back, which isn't very heavy, but you need to have that in the background where you can take a bot, retrain it, and put it allocate it to somewhere else, or you can fine tune the process. So some of that backend infrastructure needs to be there, and automation has been successful for those organizations who've sort of developed not just the front end and the bots, but the back end as well. So Hilal, you're welcome to add more to that.
No, absolutely right. Let's go through the rest of the questions. There are quite some coming in. Mohammed Hafni, very interesting. Who will be in control of the finance automation process? Basically, the subject matter expert, the people who are doing the finance, are the best people to be in control. That is not always possible, but they are included in the cycle of automation to provide input to the developers and the center of excellence, and they could be part of the center of excellence to influence and make sure that the automation that are being made are the ones that should be made. So they are partially in control. For the compliance, I think it will remain to need a human interference since document need to verification. Yes, so with document understanding, what we have introduced is a validation station which is a queue where the robot sends in, so you can put in confidence levels. Let's say you have a handwritten or you have a bad scanned document that is shaky, and the robot is not able to identify characters at 100%. It would say, well, I think this is 80% an O instead of a 0 if it is a 0. So based on this threshold that you set, you will let the robot know that if it is not above 80% confidence or 90% confidence or even 100% confidence, it will send it to the validation station, which is a queue where a human being needs to validate and correct it if needed. And that is what we call a human in the loop, and the feedback loop, which sends back information to the robot to learn from this data as more and more of these corrections are made. But the human will have a station where on the left side he has the document, and on the right side he has what the robot has extracted, and then the human can say, yes, this is correct, or no, and then correct it if needed. Who does the automation solution?
Sorry, Hilel, can I just add on the compliance part?
Yes, please go ahead.
So Mohammed, I mean, on the compliance part, it's come a long way. And I think, as Hilal mentioned, the hybrid model works really well, because especially for your tax compliance, your annual statutory filings, those, I mean, can be greatly accelerated with robotics, right? So some of the generic tasks can be I've seen them done very, very efficiently. And then where the human input comes in, the cognitive, it's very limited if you really look at the compliance part of it. Mostly it's, unless you're setting up an organization or setting up a function, it's mostly repetitive. So I think I disagree that for compliance, it's actually a more infusion of bot than human, but obviously the hybrid structure works best.
Nice to see you here, Hafni. Thanks for joining us. How does AI Fabric work? So this is one of the features that we have enabling you to embed your own AI technology within our platform. So what we have is AI Fabric is a module that is within our orchestrator hosted on the same server within your same platform, allowing you to bring in your own developed AI technologies and embed them within the same platform, allowing you to do automation much faster. And that brings me to the next question. How can we activate it within the studio? So once you host that AI technology on the orchestrator, the platforms that are connected to it, which are the robots and the studios, Uipath studios, automatically get the activities that are needed to use that AI fabric within their the list of activities. So the next one, what does it mean that RPA must be used partially?
I think this is to do with the agile question. Hassan had posted that before, that our RPA is in agile. I mean, yes or no, Hassan? I mean, it really comes down to what you're implementing. I mean, there are certain areas which can be completely automated by a bot. Otherwise, as I said, in compliance, you need a partial bot and some human intervention at this stage until we have a very fluid cognitive AI technology.
Okay. So hi, Baroud, in the process mining, do showing and dealing with the extension of the processes affect the performance of the process execution? No, the process mining is reading the logs of these systems. So it is something that is already saved in the databases, and then the process mining plugs into that data and visualizes it and analyzes it. So it will have no impact on the performance execution of that process itself. So the answer is no here. Javed Ahmed, please mention any specific use case where RPA has helped a CFO make a better informed financial decision, which hasn't mentioned in the introduction. I leave this to you. You are a CFO.
Thank you. That's a bit of a loaded question. I mean, yes, you know, as I said, you've got the accounting function at sort of at the bottom of the pyramid, and by no means is that's any level of hierarchy. It's just, you know, that's where it all starts in the value chain, and then you start slowly moving into you know, compilation of that data, insights, and then ultimately you know, this the synthesis of that sort of flows through at the CFO level. So once you've got the baseline automated, your data is cleaner, it's more standardized, it's being processed better, it's being processed into elements that can actually be utilized to make decisions. I think it comes, so that's still theoretical. What it means for each organization is different. So it depends on the sector you're in. If you're in services, it means something else. If you're in law, for example, if you're in healthcare, it means something else. If you're in manufacturing, it means something else. But ultimately, you want to be, your base of that pyramid needs to be automated enough and digitized enough that you can essentially firstly get insights in the current stage, and in the upcoming years be able to implement cognitive AI and all the other newer technology that's coming down the pipeline.
Okay. Anonymous, are Celonis and Works your partners from UiPath perspective? Celonis has been and is still a great partner to us, but just recently, as we have introduced process mining, they have also become a competitor. So yes, they are partners and competitors. The same goes for Antworks. So they have a great document cognition solution that integrates with our platform, but they also have RPA. So they are partners as well as competitors for us. How do you embed AI or machine learning algorithm within UiPath Studio? So AI, you need to use the AI fabric, embed that technology in the orchestrator, and then you can use it in the UiPath Studio. For machine learning, what we have is you can inject your Python code into the UiPath Studio tool, allowing you to have machine learning modules straight through the UiPath Studio. So you can inject your Python codes in the studio itself. Luay Saleh, will the use of artificial intelligence be based on the ready model? I'm not sure I fully understand. I can try to answer. A ready artificial intelligence model, yes, so you can implement, but it can also be a module that is customizable, if that is really the question. I'm going to keep it on, and if you can elaborate a bit more. Mohammed Al-Harthi, and are these available in community version? Yeah, so everything available in the enterprise solution is also available in the community version. One thing to mention in the community version is that it is not meant for companies that have more than $5 million revenue. This is really for community to be used and not for enterprises. But yes, the same functionalities with some limitation in number of executions is there, but the functionality is the same. What about Arabic invoices? How does this system recognize them and reflect? The system does not recognize them yet. So we are not yet there in Arabic invoices for UiPath document understanding. But we do have solutions such as Abby, that are partners with us and fully integrated natively within our solution that allows you to read Arabic invoices as long as it is not handwritten. So if it is printed, then you have a good chance of reading a pretty good part of it. It's yet not 100% there. Okay.
I believe Anas has something to add to the
Yeah,
yeah, okay.
Yeah, actually, the project we have implemented in the region, especially in Saudi Arabia, most of them, or most of the processes are in the finance and accounting department. And as you know, there are a lot of invoices. Yes, we did the projects with the Arabic invoices, with using the ABI FlexiCapture. And depends, of course, about the quality of the document, but we got very, very good results, which is I can say more than 80 to 85% accurate. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Anas. Man Hijazi, hi, what about Arabic? Oh yeah, sorry, we got that already. Rami Ali, UiPath OCR read Arabic. Again, that was answered above. What are the main risks for RPA and how can we mitigate them? This is a very wide and deep question.
That's another loaded question, yeah. So you know, from a finance perspective, really, if I just, I mean, as Hilel said, there's so many elements that come into play. It's also dependent on the nature, size, geography, sector of the organization, et cetera, et cetera. But just as a F&A function, really, you want to be mindful of your internal departmental goals of what you're trying to achieve, your own processes, what are the interdependencies, and then other business units, how they interact with the F&A department. And then you sort of approach from a process orchestration perspective. I mean, I think, I don't know, it's way too wide. I think I can spend another half an hour just talking about this stuff, but hopefully we can connect one-on-one and have a more in-depth discussion on this one.
Okay, the slides will be shared with the participants, so you will have them for the next question. How will AI will help in account in the process? So I'm just going through the whole question list, and I don't know if we still have time. Omer, would you like to choose a couple of questions and answer them? Because otherwise
sure.
We can get back to everyone on all the questions. So we will collect them and send the responses to everyone that has registered to this webinar.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to answer. I still have time, but I know people have budgeted an hour. So we will, as Hilel said, circle back, and you can obviously reach out to us for a more in-depth discussion. But we'll try to answer some more here. Please share the slides, some more practical examples. So they're in the slides. Each of the 5 processes that we mentioned, they're outlined in a lot more detail of what each process entailed. So you might be able to get some insights from that. What are the unique automations done by Uipath in finance and accounting other than those listed in the slide? Hilel, if you want to sort of take that one.
Sorry, I was reading something. I was checking through the list. Which one are you on?
I'm on SiriRAM. What are the unique automations
done by Uipath in finance and accounting other than those listed in the slide? So the thing is that finance and accounting are pretty close departments. So me as a vendor, I don't really know all the automations that are happening. Partners like strategic partners like Proven would do the implementation, and what we do is sell these licenses. We are involved a lot in these automations, but other than the normal automations, what I can mention are the ones that have feedback loop. Anna's just mentioned the ABI Flexi Capture, where it has a validation station, just similar to document understanding. So in finance, most of the automations are the low-hanging fruits to start with, and then we see much more advanced with chatbots and AI and machine learning, intelligent OCR come into place that will help you do the automations. So I think maybe you can mention some of the things that you have worked on, or otherwise we'll get back to you. I'll get to the team and try to get you more use cases that I might not be aware of.
Okay. There's another one from Rob.
Yeah.
Go on, please.
Go. No, so what I wanted to say is, as a closing note, is that we Uipath are standing behind our partners. Proven is a strategic partner in the region. They have done many implementations. Myself, my team and I are managing all the pre-sales and to some extent some of the implementations that are going on. So we support our partners. What I can assure you guys is that we are here alongside with our partners, joining strength, making sure that the implementations are done properly and to your expectations. It is a project that we care about, and what I can tell you is that you can reach out to me or to anyone in Uipath if you have any questions or need any kind of support. But again, Proven is more than capable of taking care of the projects and executing it. And whenever, if at all is the case, they reach out to us when they have questions or when they are stuck anywhere in the implementation. And that's where my team and I get into support.
Brilliant. So just one last question in Omer's slide. bot utilization show only time. What about the cost? So the bot's cost is overall. So I mean, and also the costs mentioned in that slide, in the slide preceding that one, it had 3-year costs, which included licenses for the bot. I don't know if I was clear on that, but it included licenses, and then obviously any overheads is separate from the actual RPA implementation.
Let me take one last question from Sri Ram. What are the expected dependencies with internal IT teams and RPA solution? So you will need IT to help you set up the infrastructure. So our IT is part of the implementation to set up all the virtual machines and the servers and opening the ports and all that. And then experts from Proven Consult will come in and do the installation hand to hand with the IT. And with you from the finance or accounting side. So IT is part of the implementation, and they are there to help you make sure that it is set up properly with the secured security needed for your organization. So I think that is it from our side. Anas, is there anything you want to add?
Nothing, but if anyone interested, they can reach us. And our team, we have enough team to support you, especially in the initial stage of the project. And if you are thinking to see what are the processes you would like to check if it can be automated or not. So our business analyst can help you in that one, and to support you to start your journey, RPA journey.
So thank you everybody for joining us. We will collect all the questions and we will answer them and send them along with a copy of the slides that have been presented to all the registered participants.
Okay, thank you everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for joining. Have a nice day.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye everybody.